Hello, I'm Austin Jarrett from Allett Mowers. We're here today at Stafford Bowls Club, and Stafford Bowls Club is our local club to our factory, and these people are great Allett users, and we also use this location for testing for real fine and low cutting. What I want to talk to you about today is specifically in relation to sports mowing, and this is our latest model, which is called the Stirling 51. This is a 20-inch wide mower, which is extremely versatile. And I want to talk to you about the application of this mower in the club sports market. I'm talking specifically about bowling clubs, but also cricket clubs as well. This machine was really designed for the garden market, which is a very large market for us at Allett, especially on the export side of our business. But this machine is so precise and has so many advantages that I wanted to talk to you about where the applications are in sports. And I'm thinking specifically of the British bowling green market, where you need accuracy, you need low heights of cut, but you also need to understand some of the features in this product as well. I'm particularly thinking of the demographics of the volunteer people that are helping to maintain these amazing clubs all around the country. And with age, as we all recognise, of course, a much lighter weight, much easier to operate machine like this Stirling is really important. Allett have been making sports mowers for over 50 years, and the machines in their black livery we sell into professional markets, but we also sell them into bowling greens. And I'm thinking in particular of our C20 and C24 mowers, which they use here, but and I'll do a comparison later. But the most significant things are for the bowling green market is the machine's very light, very easy to use. It takes a lot less effort to use for mowing a bowling green. Remember, a lot of these bowling greens are 1,400 square meters, and that's quite a large area. And just being able to pull the machine back really easily and have handlebars, which are so easy to use both for engaging the cylinder and the rear roller drive, make this so easy and comfortable to use. Our alternatives in our C range, professional range products are, of course, a lot more expensive. This machine's coming in at about less than half of our professional C range machines, and of course also our competitors' bowling green mowers. So that's very significant, and we're thinking of the bowling clubs where finances and membership numbers are really a challenge, that this is a very affordable mower that will still mow at 5mm to create a really great bowling green surface. So there's expense. The weight is critical, I think, as well for the older mower user, where you are walking quite a distance and there's an awful lot of pullbacks at the ends, and that lightweight really does help. You'll notice that we don't have a petrol engine on this, and significantly this is a battery driven mower, and we're finding that so many of our customers are really attracted to all the advantages that battery bring. So it's about the effort, the strength that you need to be able to mow a bowling green in later years, but of course the expense, we believe, and the savings that you can make by buying a more mass-produced mower like this that's battery driven is very clear. What does battery offer? You can see we have no engine here, and the mower is driven by this battery. So just very quickly, it makes the mower much quieter, which for bowling greens, mostly in built-up areas and in town centre locations like this, the noise levels mean that it's less noise to disturb neighbours, and it also means that you can choose maybe a wider range of mowing times. If you've got a competition at 10 o'clock in the morning and you want to do a mow beforehand, that you may be concerned about the noise and disturbing neighbours, but with an electric mower you can really just get on with it, and they're probably not even going to hear you mowing. If you care about the environment, then the pollution at point of use, of course, is so much less, which is better for the operator as well as just generally for the environment. There is also a cost element to this. It literally costs a few pence of electricity to mow a whole bowling green, as opposed to pounds of petrol. These are really easy to charge, just drop them into a fast charger, and there's a whole range of batteries, and this 7.5 amp hour battery will generally, it depends on the length of the grass, will generally mow a bowling green in one go. It takes about 100 minutes to recharge that on a slow charger and considerably less on the fast charger option that we have available to go with this. No petrol management in your storage area, no petty cash to have to go and no journeys to go and collect the petrol as well are very significant advantages of going down the battery route too. The battery just simply clicks into the machine and we are ready to mow. The other very significant advantage of this machine is the interchangeable cartridge system. And I have laid out here a variety of cartridges. This has a 10-bladed cylinder fitted in here, which is an optional cylinder that we have in the machine. And that gives a really fine cut, and the bottom blade on this is rigid and is shaved off to enable us to reach these 5mm heights of cut. The advantage of interchangeable cartridge is that I can take this out really quickly and I can service the cylinder really easily. I can set the bottom blade without it being within the machine, although the machine does tip back easily for servicing. And of course, I'm not worrying about petrol leaking on the green now because I have none. The cartridges, especially compared with our much heavier duty machines, are a fraction of the weight, and I'm talking these are between 5 and 12 kilograms for a cartridge, as opposed to 20 or 30 kilograms, which makes them very difficult to lift into the mower, especially if you've got challenges with your back. I can also take that cartridge out for servicing. I can put it in the boot of the car and take it for a resharpen really easily. But of course, the main advantage is I can take the cutting cartridge out, and I have a whole range of cartridges here to help me maintain the bowling green, to keep on top of thatch, to keep the grass standing upright before mowing. And I can also use some of these more aggressive cartridges for an overseed and autumn renovations and try and keep the cost within the bowling club rather than having to get contractors in. Other features that are built into this more mass-produced mower are the handlebar setup. The handlebars are really nice and comfortable and very ergonomically designed, and the way that the controls are engaged for cylinder drive and also for the roller are all built in, integrated into the handlebar set. You're not touching steel, you're touching soft plastic, so it's a very tactile setup. I'm able to adjust the speed, so it doesn't matter which operator and which speed they prefer to work at. They can choose their speed by simply rotating this speed control we call the rotor shift, and that, even on the move, just allows us to alter the speed, again for greater levels of comfort for probably a wider variety of operators and speeds at which they can walk. The other thing from the comfort point of view is that I am able to create a lot of adjustments on this so that it's really comfortable for whichever operator, and they can adjust as well in this plane as well, depending on how they like to turn the mower around at the ends. I personally prefer to have them at the higher position, and I can see my cylinder, which really helps me line up with my next run as well to make sure I don't get any misses. The handlebars fold up as well for storage when you put this in the container or in the shed, to really reduce the footprint that the mower's taking, and when it's in this position as well, then all the controls are dead to keep them safe. I also have a safety key at the back which I can remove, and that means that even if the battery is left in, that with this removed it's not going to operate, and that keeps it safely in the shed as well and keeps maybe the unauthorized people from touching or using the mower. Height adjustment on this is a really lovely feature, and we all know about getting down on our knees with height bars and everything else, but we've paid particular attention to this. And on the side here we have a gauge in millimeters, and I'm simply turning the one control knob at the end here, which lifts and lowers the roller to a very, very fine level, and I can choose my 5mm height of cut on here very, very easily and simply. On the other side of the indicator here, When I put the cartridges in, which are a slightly larger diameter, I've got a different scale so I can see exactly how many millimeters depth I'm achieving with my cultivations, and that really helps with repeatability and recording what activities you've done in maintaining your green. That is a really nice feature, and I'm adjusting the height of cut without getting my knees wet. The grass bag is again built with this whole theme of light and easy. The grass bag is of an unconventional design for a cylinder mower, but we really wanted to reduce the weight just to make this easier to carry even when filled with grass clippings. You'll notice it's a mesh design as well, and when we're throwing grass or debris, if we're cultivating into this, then especially when it's light and dry, on a conventional grass box you tend to get a lot of blowback as the air's exiting out. But with the mesh design, we're finding that we're getting much better grass box fill because the air is able to escape and the debris stays within. It really simply and easily just clips onto the front like so. Again, it makes it so easy. The lip of the grass box is very close to the cylinder as well to make sure that we get a really good percentage pickup. The front roller is steel as standard, and we also have a grooved front roller if you prefer. The height and depth or depth control is always more accurate with the full width roller if you can use that. Behind every Stirling front roller there is also a rake, if you can see that, and this rake can be fully adjusted just again to get the grasses that aren't growing up, they're growing flat. If we can keep trying to rake those and cut them, then those weed grasses in particular are given a bit of a harder time than the grasses that we want, that prefer to grow upright, enjoy. You can lift that rake completely out of the way, and I would definitely lift it up higher when I'm using the cultivation cartridges in this product. The rear roller, we've designed this to make it more manoeuvrable again around the bowling green and into the container or the shed, and you'll notice that the rear roller protrudes out of the chassis, and this makes it really easy to be able to actually take it up the steps and then pull the machine up backwards without risking damaging the bottom blade setup. And really the showstopper for this machine is all about the cartridge changes. So we've made this really quick, it's really light, and it's really easy. To change and remove a cartridge, all I need to do is I have a couple of locking tabs just here and here on either side, and I also have the drive engagement, and I just need to release that. That enables me then to literally just remove the cartridge like so. And then if I take this scarifier cartridge, I just need to carefully line it up and drop this in. I can make this look easy. And then I've got the lock tabs, which I need to relock, and then I just push this in until the drive is locked. And then I'm ready to go with my scarifier. Of course, need to adjust the height of cut for this, and that's really important, and of course it's really easy too. If I talk you through the range of cartridges, this cartridge that's fitted here is the scarifier cartridge. It's a spring rake cartridge which just agitates very gently. You can barely tell where it's been, it stands the grass upright. It's also the best cartridge that we have for collecting debris. So if you have leaves, or if you may be heavy scarified with another machine, then you can pick up the debris with this and it throws it all cleanly into the grass box. The nice advantage of these cultivation cartridges in this machine is with the grass box on the front, you're collecting as you go. Let's take a look at the cartridges. The machine comes as standard with a 6-bladed cutting cartridge. We have a new blade system which is much more like a professional product than our homeowner products, and that is aimed at making that really easy to adjust the cylinder and to keep it on cut. 6-bladed cylinder clip rate is high because the blade does spin quite fast, but for the bowling green we really recommend that you're going to take the 10-bladed cylinder. The 10-bladed cylinder just gives that higher clip rate, and the other important thing is that the bottom blade, although is the same thickness as a 6-bladed general purpose cylinder, is feathered off at the front so that we can gain a little bit extra on lower heights of cut. Both of these cartridges here can be, of course, reground for sharpening, and it's very effective as well if you catch a stone or an edge somewhere, that you can backlap these really easily just by taking the cartridge out of the machine and putting a drill on, and then just driving the cylinder in a reverse direction and using grinding paste, and then washing that off afterwards. And you'll see videos on Allett mower cylinder backlapping. The cartridge I talked about earlier is the Scarifier cartridge. It's actually my favourite cartridge just because it's so gentle, it's so difficult to do any damage, but really has so many benefits in terms of standing grass upright and helping remove thatch, reducing that organic layer. Next most popular is the Verticut cartridge. So I now have steel star-shaped blades which are doing a vertical cut into the sward, and I think many of you will be using verticutting as a regular part of your turf maintenance program to keep the sward consistent no matter where you are on the green. This is the Dethatcher cartridge. This is by far our most aggressive cartridge. You'll see they're forward hook-shaped blades. They take bigger bites than the Verticut, and we're able to go slightly deeper. We're down at between 11 and 16 millimeters if you need to go that deep, so it really is a more autumnal cultivation tool. You don't need to use it that deep though. You can use it gently and at higher out of the ground, and that will still do something similar to the Verticut, just on this wider spacing. The brush is a really useful cartridge for cleanup. It's actually amazing what this stiffer brush than we've used before will achieve in just pulling out brown material, dead material out of the grass sward. Very effective, very clean, and this is really popular for preparing cricket wickets too, where you need to stand all the grass upright in order to give it a really low cut. Finally, we have an aerator cartridge here as well. You'll notice that this doesn't have a drive sprocket on the end, and that's because as you drive the mower forward, then the blades just rotate and stick little holes into our thatch layer to help with the irrigation and rainfall to penetrate into the thatch layer itself. We believe this combination of cartridges, which are so easily, literally in fractions of a minute, changed over, means that you're much more likely to even do a partial treatment of an area that you want, because it's just so quick and easy. The weights of these cartridges are so light that it really is no effort at all to pick them up and change them as well, with absolutely no risk to your back or the need for help to help you lift the cartridge into the mower. We feel that that combo means that a combination of benefits means that you are much more likely to do the vital cultivations that you should be doing to your bowling green. Finally, what I'd like to do is to probably answer a question that is on all of your lips. Why would I spend twice as much money and more on the Allett C20 or some of our traditional competitors' products rather than buy the much lower cost, more mass-produced Stirling 51? So I think the first thing to think about is the weight. So this machine with a cartridge in, you're looking at 100 kilograms as opposed to 50 kilograms, and that is a very significant amount of weight difference. In particular, when I'm pulling back at the ends or when I'm turning around, this machine is just so much lighter. The heavier, more professional machines take a lot more effort, and although the controls are good and you can feather the drive in order to assist you with that, it requires a higher level of skill to be able to handle the heavier machine in itself. Cost is probably going to be one of the biggest drivers. So as I say, the mower itself in original acquisition with a 10-bladed cylinder versus a 10-bladed cylinder, this is twice as much money as the Stirling. The cartridges themselves, when you add those on, the Stirling is a third of a price per cartridge, and that might be a really important consideration. Why? If you're a bowling green that's maybe struggling for the finances, you still need to be able to mow the grass, and the Stirling will definitely be able to offer you that. Maybe as a second mower, you might also consider having the Stirling as a backup, just in case I need to have a sharpen on my cylinder or some sort of servicing on my bigger, more serious machine. The weight contribution of this, of course, is really important, keeping the bowling green level, which is important. 50 kilograms is not an insignificant amount of weight, but clearly a 100 kilogram machine is going to give that greater leveling effect, if that's important in your soil types. The big thing though, I think, is going to be about the duty. So cost, of course, is an important factor. This is Stafford Bowling Green's latest acquisition. They have just replaced their C20, which is 14 years old. And so we typically have customers that are replacing them after a lot longer than that as well, but you do lose accuracy on any machine as time goes on, and reliability. 14 years we feel is a very good and serviceable lifetime. But suddenly, if this machine is going to last a lot less, and you do need to consider the duty levels of the machine, the extra 50 kilograms of steel and materials in this machine will obviously play a part in how long it's going to last. So this machine is not going to last as long as the heavier professional machine. It's just not as duted. So by the time you actually spread that out over the life of the service per year, it's probably not going to be an awful lot different. But if I don't have the funds to buy this machine in the first place, then this will cut my green beautifully and keep the club open and keep the players playing, so I can start to try and work on how I'm going to increase my membership. If you've got the money, we would encourage you to be buying this no compromise machine. If your greenkeeper is not as fit as he used to be, and let's face it, that happens to all of us, then he may be finding this machine actually quite difficult to use, and this much lighter machine is easier to use. Quite a different consideration to the cost in the first place. Uncompromised finished, uncompromised accuracy, long life of the product, but slightly more difficult to adjust. I have 2 adjustments on the height of cut, which contributes to its accuracy. I have a greater range of cartridges that can work deeper in cultivations than this machine, but I might use this machine more often just because it's so much easier to use. So there's your dilemma. I'm not going to give you the answer because your own circumstances are really going to be the determining factor, but Allett, we like to be really frank and help you make the correct decision for your club. Thanks ever so much for watching this video. I hope it's been useful. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel to receive the very latest updates. Thank you so much for watching.